What's up, everybody? TJ and Carrie here with Muscle Growth Mindset. We're going to dig into some Broscience today. I'm sure everybody's heard the term Broscience, and there's some legitimacy here, right?
Absolutely.
That's what we're going to talk about, is how to discern the good versus the bad Broscience, and then Broscience versus science.
Absolutely.
Right? So I think in bodybuilding, it has come up from a lot of Broscience. That's kind of we've learned a lot through trial and error.
Yes.
Self-hacking, that's another word for Broscience. Basically just experimenting on yourself, different things. It's not a controlled lab, it's not a controlled experiment, but it's just, I'm going to do this and see what happens. I'm going to take this supplement, see what the result is. I'm going to do these exercises, see the result. And
scientifically defining what Broscience is anecdotal evidence, studies of N equals 1. So when they do a scientific study, they do a population, and that population is N. And anecdotal evidence, Broscience, is N equals 1. The negative, the drawback of a one-person study is that there's usually some genetic outliers, or there will be other issues that get in the way.
Yeah, and definitely, I think in the bodybuilding industry, there are definitely some genetic outliers. There's some genetic freaks. And I've talked about this before, like certain people, they give their coaches credit, which your coach can make a big difference, but there's some people that I could have coached, or Carrie could have coached, or my 10-year-old son could have coached, and they could have turned pro. Like, they're just genetic freaks.
Right.
So somebody like that, you say, they ate this much protein and they put on muscle. Some people, they just walk in a gym and they can put on muscle.
They sneeze and they're stronger.
Yeah. And then there's some people that, it's a near impossible task to put on muscle and put on the physique that you need to be a competitive bodybuilder. So you have to consider that. And a big reason we're doing this and talking about this subject is so when you get online, Broscience is bigger now than ever because of things like YouTube, things like podcasts, things like, it's just social media. It's a free outlet to say whatever you want. And just know that some people are full of crap. Some people are really intelligent, and there's also a lot of factors like genetics. So just because this guy that's huge, muscular huge on social media says, this is what I take and this is what I do and it works great, that may not necessarily be the case for everybody.
So there's genetics for sure, and then there is one other thing that I really want to discuss about Broscience. There's a lot of times there's a placebo effect.
Yeah.
So the brain is one of the most powerful tools. There are some great trainers out there and great motivated people that speak about the power of the brain. What was the guy? I Command You to Grow?
C.T. Fletcher.
C.T. Fletcher.
Yeah. Love that guy.
A lot of what he talks about is using the power of your mind to make your body grow. Yeah. And that's a powerful thing, especially when you understand it. But some of the Broscience out there says, I really believe in doing this, and I do this, and you should do that because it helps you grow. And a lot of times they come back with real scientific evidence, and there's no proof of anything there.
Yeah, and it's crazy that and I've said this before, I think placebo is the strongest, most effective drug out there. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and when it works really well. I think if you're, under the right influence and, maybe you're around the right people and you think these things are working, if that works for you and you're getting results, then you're ready to go for it. Let the placebo work for you.
Exactly.
But at the same time, just know that there's a difference in science and Broscience. And a lot of, like you just mentioned, science has come back and backed a lot of what we've learned over the years in bodybuilding. Like, certain supplements, like bodybuilders were taking certain drugs and certain supplements, and they knew that they worked before there was any scientific evidence. They knew, if I take this much testosterone, I'm going to put on a lot of muscle. Well, then,
or even before that, creatine is the original.
Yeah, you take creatine, it works. And then there's been a lot of scientific studies since then that prove this actually works. This is legitimate. So there's science kind of lacks because of ethics, right? In bro science, you can get away with certain things. Like I can take all this stuff and I can do all these taboo things and I can prove that it works. But in a larger study group, like when we're trying to do a study on 5,000 people, like it's not ethical to throw a bunch of drugs or a bunch of non-proven supplements at these people and allow them to take it.
Yeah. But that actually brings us to, so the negatives, we were talking about a lot of the negatives of bro science, where the limitations are, what can get in the way, genetics, the power of belief. But the positive bro science is what we're talking about here, is that it is, for scientific purposes, it is N=1 studies done over time through countless different people. One person says, I did this and it works, 20 years ago, and they tell other people, and 5 people find out that works too, and they tell 25 other people, and they keep, so these are experiments that a lot of times evolved over time. How did we find out that blowing up our muscles with lots of blood and lactate and making them burn, how did we figure out that brought us a lot of size? I mean, there are studies now that prove it, but those are recent. They've been using these techniques for years. So that's the bro science that became actual used experiments. And it came from what I call laboratory experiments in the gym by people who were willing to do new things and to try anything to get the results they wanted.
Yeah, I think Arnold is a great example. I guarantee he didn't have the science behind him that we have today. And, he did a lot of things that, he kind of set the standard for a lot of things. He did a lot of things that we still do today because, he did it and it worked. He didn't know necessarily why. That's another thing with science versus bro science. We know when I do this, this happens. Maybe there's some mechanisms throughout that we don't understand or know about, but we know when I lift weights, I build muscle. Like, I don't know how that works, but with science, there has to be a little more to it. We have to know a little more in depth for it to be proven.
Right.
Bro science, you can just say, I take this supplement and I get better pumps.
Yeah.
So it works.
I'm always willing to listen to new things. I'm sometimes guilty of what a lot of people do, is getting over enthusiastic about new things, but I'm always willing I want to learn. And if it's a new thing that hasn't been studied, I want to be in on it. A lot of times I'll tell you, it didn't do anything for me.
Yeah.
Didn't work.
Yeah. And that's, being a bodybuilder and being a coach, like, I can attest to science. I mean, in what it says in the book, what it's supposed to do doesn't always happen. Like, there is some truth to certain bro science. Like, there's things I've done with my competitors and with myself, like, that by the book it's not supposed to happen, but just through experience, I've seen it happen and it works. There's a guy that we know, and he posts a lot of things on social media about the science behind bodybuilding, and it's all fact. And there's one in particular article I'm thinking of about sodium that he posted saying, there's no real relevance that taking in more sodium is going to fill you out and get you more full for a bodybuilding show. But like, I've seen the effects of people that take in sodium versus not, or people that take in too much sodium, like retaining water. Like, it's maybe the science doesn't back it and say that it's supposed to happen, but just through experience, like certain foods, certain supplements, certain things that maybe science doesn't say that it's supposed to work, but I've just seen through experience that it works. And I'm not going to argue that, because if I know whenever I give somebody this plan, and I know that 75 competitors before have done this and it worked, like, just because it doesn't say it works in a book, I'm confident in doing it with my competitors.
I will say, for the human body, which actually we're talking about biochemistry, for a lot of I do a lot of reading through research papers, and throughout most of them I will find sentences like, more research is needed, the effects are not truly known, we don't understand the mechanism. So in biochemistry, the small details of the causes in the human body, we don't have all the answers. And frequently we act as if we know, But for me as a scientist, lab results trump book reading, right? Unless you have a causal mechanism that's seen time and time again in the cellular biochemical study to cause, if you see a correlation, and yet when you get a lab result, when I do this, this always happens, that will trump, which is one of the major reasons why I was convinced to try the carnivore diet. There's not a lot of science backing that. However, there is a lot of people that are getting results that blew my mind. So I always say the lab results trump book learning.
Yeah, and I think definitely in what we do, and you can, anyone that's serious about bodybuilding or powerlifting, you know, there's been several people that have said a similar quote to this, like, you know, if I had to eat 3 pounds of shit and it would increase my bench by 50 pounds, I would do it. Or if I could, you know, if it put on 2 pounds of muscle, then I would do it.
Yeah.
Like, people will do whatever it takes.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the mentality we have to be the weird people that we are in our fields.
Yeah.
But I think there's differences in everybody, and that's what I love about the human body, and that's what I love about, you know, training people and coaching people, because it's always an experiment. It's always trial and error, and I tell people that a lot of times when I start coaching them. I'm like, the first few weeks especially, it's just, I hate to say it, but it's kind of trial and error. Like, I don't know how you're going to respond to certain foods. Like, genetically, people are different. People respond differently to different foods. So, you know, maybe I can give you more fats and less carbs, and your body really responds to that. Maybe I have to give you, you know, more carbs and less fats, and, you know, what works for Carrie may not work for me. You know, a lot of people that do the carnivore diet that have certain issues, it helps, but it's not going to help everybody. Like,
right.
I don't know that the carnivore diet's the right thing for me. I don't know if it's the right thing for Carrie. He'll know that soon enough. He's been doing it for a while now. But
I can tell you can survive.
Yeah, he can survive. He's been surviving.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, I'm saying all that to say, nutritionists, and nothing against people that are nutritionists, like, they're taught by the book and they go by the book. Like, if you go get someone with a nutrition degree or certified nutritionist, they're gonna, you know, say you need this much percentage of carbohydrates, this much percentage of fats, and that's great for just a balanced diet. But for what we do, it doesn't always work. Like, you can't go by the book and say I have to have, you know, 30% protein. Like, it doesn't work that way, and it doesn't work the same for everybody.
At least true nutrition scientists will be very careful about what they say. My nutrition professor was careful about saying must or need. Recommended was the word they used, and phytochemicals instead of phytotoxins or phytonutrients. They're careful. They try to treat it as a science.
Yeah. And they should.
Yeah.
But some don't.
Yeah.
And it's and like I said, for general population and general nutrition, you could get by with just a nutritionist. But I think if it's you're going to go extreme with powerlifting and bodybuilding, then you have to go somewhat extreme.
Absolutely.
On nutrition and training.
Yeah, the nutritionist, one of the best things they do is trying to teach people to stay away from the standard American diet. Pizza, hamburger, and ice creams. You know, that's not necessarily the best thing.
That diet.
Does taste good.
But yeah, that's, you know, how did the first prep coach become prep coaches? They didn't, you could read all the books in the world, but I guarantee if you go buy a nutrition book and you get ready for a show, you're not going to look your best. Like, what happened is they experimented. They, you know, told somebody eat this and this and this, and they noticed, oh, whenever I give them less carbs, this happens. When I give them more carbs, this happens. So it was a lot of experimentation and, you know, Broscience. They noticed, okay, whenever we do water load and water depletion, you know, they look better. Whenever we give them, take away their sodium, this happens. When we give them sodium, this happens. So there's definitely a place for Broscience.
I want to stress the science part.
Yes, Broscience. But at the same time, like, sadly, probably more often than not, there's BS.
Yeah.
Right? You got these guys that just throw information out. They don't, we are believers in Broscience, but we also are believers in science. So we try to back everything we do with science as much as possible. Like I said, I know there's exceptions. I've experienced it, and I know, like, by the book, your body's supposed to do this, but sometimes it doesn't happen. But there's people that, they just, it's for social media, it's for following, it's for
beware,
just, attention. They'll say whatever, and because it worked for them, it doesn't mean it's going to work for you. And that's even coming from me. Like if Carrie says, "Man, this carnivore diet has been great for me. I feel better. I'm still putting on muscle. I'm getting leaner. I'm getting stronger. I've cured every ailment I've ever had." Maybe that works for Carrie. It doesn't mean it's going to work for you. So just know that just because this guy has.
I got rid of the ugly.
Yeah.
Didn't I?
It made all his hair fall out.
What?
Just because a guy has 1 million followers doesn't mean he knows what the hell he's talking about.
Yeah.
So just be aware of that. And
it has its place, for sure.
But I think the big thing, and we say this a lot, is figure it out on your own. Like you do your own Broscience. Maybe this, maybe what these people are saying works. Like take their Broscience and try it out on yourself and kind of self-hack yourself. Because that's the only way to know if it's really going to work.
Yep, bodybuilders were the original biohackers.
Yeah.
So
cool. So I guess in summary, there's positives and negatives.
Absolutely.
Know that there's outliers. And what works for some people doesn't work for everybody. And know that there's a lot of intelligent people out there that you can learn a lot from. Their Broscience is good information, and then the opposite end of the spectrum, there's a lot of idiots out there that be careful and proceed with caution. Yeah,
be wary and keep your mind open, but also don't take what everybody says is truth.
Even with us, we're not experts.
Right.
We're still learning. We want to keep learning.
Yeah.
So if we say something, definitely look into it, do your own research, and give us feedback. Tell us we're either full of it or that you found that evidence supports what we say.
Right.
So we definitely want to hear your feedback. Awesome. We got it on some Broscience.
I think that's all we've got for now. We got a couple of good topics coming up the next 2 weeks. So
yes, we do.
I'm really excited.
Awesome. Well, until next time.
Don't forget rule number 1.
Hey everybody, I hope you really enjoyed our video. Please like and subscribe if you did.
And if you want to see more, or if you have any questions, leave some comments. Thanks for watching.